Okay.
Dawn. Okay.
Oh.
Blog Talk Radio.
Mysteries abound around the world, from strange lights in the night sky to ghostly apparitions passing from one realm to the next. From the great pyramids of Egypt to what lies beneath the depths of Loch Ness. From Bigfoot to Atlantis, they are all mysteries waiting to be solved. Join Laurie Phillips, Lauren Smith, Graz, and Billy Simmons as they search for the truth on Nite Callers Radio.
It is December 18th, 2014, and you are listening to Nite Callers, Bigfoot Radio. Welcome, everyone, to the show tonight. My name is Laurie Phillips, and I'm here with Graz and Billy Simmons.
Hello. Hello. We lose her?
Nope. We're all here. Ho, ho, ho. Yes, I think we just lost her.
Well, I guess we're going to have to wing it, aren't we?
Yeah, that's okay. What are you going to do? Oh, she's back again. There she goes. Yeah, she's having connection problems with her phone.
Yes, I am. Let me tell you what, it went beep, 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 beep. I don't know what is going on. I must have a UFO between here and the tower. So I'm going to let everyone know that Lauren is going to be a little late tonight. She had a Christmas party that she could not get out of, so she'll be here within the hour. So we're going to have to do the intro and everything like that on our own. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Considering all the electronic gremlins I've had on my end, I guess I'm doing well. I got up this morning, the modem was blown out on my computer. I'm running a borrowed laptop tonight to be here. So, in fact, I'm having fits getting chat opened and running. So, I'm doing the best I can, though. Other than that, we're doing pretty good.
Well, just get those monkey fingers working out okay on those little tiny keys. You'll be all right.
Well, I'm telling you, I do despise a laptop.
Well, let me know if you can't get it going, Brad. Can you get it going by any chance? Because people may be out there in the hall waiting to get into the chat.
I can open up as a moderator, and Billy can try to
get
in as a co-host.
I would give this thing a swift kick, but it's not my computer. You know, I assisted a little bit, but
that's all right. I got the window open here.
That'll work. I appreciate it, sir. Typical blog talk gremlins.
That's all right, and Lauren can kick me out when she gets here. I won't feel too bad about it. All right, there we go. It's up and running.
Good job. Thanks, sir. Yeah, it's just spinning on my hand.
You know, it's our last show of the year. Of course, we're going to have all kinds of gremlins. And suppose. It's going to be one of those nights, I have a feeling. So if y'all will keep an eye on the switchboard, if you don't see me up there, you'll know. If I'm looking, my call has dropped 4 times. Before the show started, my calls were dropping. I don't get what's going on with that, but
well, you can blame it on the Koreans.
I was actually talking to our guest earlier tonight. I talked to him for probably 20 minutes. Never dropped a single time.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Really don't. So is
crazy.
everybody ready for Christmas? Y'all ready for Christmas?
Yeah, I guess so. About as ready as you can get.
How about you, Brad? You ready for Christmas?
Ready for Christmas. Huh? No wife, no kids. I'm always ready for Christmas. No wife, no kids. I don't have to worry about a damn thing.
I really try to do my shopping in June. I don't even like to go to the Walmart to get bread this time of year, or milk or something. It's a it's a fight for survival in that place.
That's true. That's true. I actually did all of my Christmas shopping yesterday, and of course I didn't have a lot to do, but I got it all done. It wasn't too bad. It really wasn't. Usually I wait till like Christmas Eve.
Oh my goodness!
I feel good. I got it done before Christmas Eve. I know. I've got 3 parties tomorrow, and after that, I can finally breathe easy. I think is everybody still here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, got real quiet. Oh no, I'm out here again. Oh no,
Lori, come in, Lori.
Breaker.
We're gonna get through this one just fine.
I know we will. This is our last one of the year.
So. That's right.
Go away, I'm doing the dishes.
Lori's not here.
Oh, my God.
Man.
Well, as compared to when, but that's okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now we're gonna flip a coin to see who's going to read the info on our guest tonight. I guess I'm going to do it.
That's between you and Graz, right? Because I still haven't got chat to load on this thing. That's how bad I'm hanging by a toenail here.
Okay, here's your tails, Graz.
Oh, Lori, you want to give it a shot, or you want me to go ahead and do it? Let's see. I can read this. Let's see. Here we go. I'll do it.
Yay! I was going to lie to you anyway.
That's just wrong.
Nite Callers Bigfoot Radio presents Florida researcher Pat Rance. Gearing down for the Christmas holidays, Nite Callers brings you the last show of the year, continuing the series of the North American Sasquatch Researcher. We welcome good friend and veteran Bigfoot researcher Pat Rance. What started out as an elusive hobby for Pat Rance has virtually turned into an obsession to hunt the elusive Bigfoot that has been sighted in the green swamp of Florida at least 10 or more times in the last several years. Pat Rance actually came face-to-face with the creature in a dramatic nighttime encounter in Sumter County. In April 2006, along with 3 other researchers, Pat set up camp in the swamp southwest of Clermont. Having seen footprints in the area as large as 18 inches long and 9 inches wide, they baited the campsite with a box of pancakes covered in syrup. Hell, I'd go for that. When they later found more tracks and the pancakes were eaten, they knew they were in the right spot. To quote Pat, it was nighttime, and I was returning to the main camp with a friend. Pat recalls, we heard sudden movement in the trail immediately in front of us, and I looked up to see a large creature jump off to the side of the trail. It was about 30 feet away, and with my flashlight shining on it, I could see this round head and massive shoulders above the tops. of the palmettos. I went to raise my night vision glasses to my eyes, and the creature jumped back onto the trail and quickly ran ahead of us and disappeared into the night. As we passed the spot where he'd been standing, I could smell maple syrup. I was totally awestruck. It happened so fast, I really didn't have time to be scared. I was surprised and elated at the same time. It was so satisfying to finally see the creature I'd been hearing about in hunting. To hear this story and other experiences from Pat Rance, be sure that you can edit. Okay, I'll read that.
That's good. Hey, you know what, Brad? You did that so good. You might get the job from now on.
Oh, a promotion. There you go.
Uh-oh. You better talk to Lauren about that first.
She'll kick my butt. That was great. That was fantastic. I love the way you did that. Okay, let's bring on our good friend Pat. Hey, Pat, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Laurie. Hey, Billy. Hey, Grams. I'm doing pretty good. How about y'all?
Hey, Pat.
You using Bluetooth, Pat?
No, sir.
Okay, your microphone might be too close to your mouth or something because it just fritzed out.
Yeah.
Was this really loud? Okay, I'll try to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all right. Go for it.
Got a powerful voice, Pat. So you said you were doing well. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Wonderful. We're
That's good. It's a pleasure to have you here, Pat. Looking forward to this show.
Good to talk with y'all again. It's been a while.
I don't know. People from Florida, this is going to be, I don't know.
It's going to be great. We haven't had anybody on from Florida since we started the show back up. So this is going to be really interesting. I don't think we have. Have we, guys?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah. I think, hey, this is great, Dan. This is great. Okay, Pat, my first question for you is, how did you come to become interested in Sasquatch in the first place?
Well, I think I ran across a news article at one time, and this was probably back in the early 2000s, and clicked the link and read the article, and then it was probably before Google, but, did a search or whatever. Went off on a tangent. We started coming up with different websites that had different sighting reports. And, sometimes I get hooked on something, and that just happened to be what it was at the time. And so I started reading everything I could find about it. Probably, I don't know, maybe a couple of years. Then I noticed on one of the bigger websites out there, they were organizing what they called an expedition here in Florida. And I was married at the time, and the wife and I had just bought a cabin in the Ocala National Forest. So I clicked the link, the email, and, signed up to go on this expedition. I thought, well, that'd be cool, something to do. Excuse me. So as it turned out, their expedition that they were putting together was in the Ocala National Forest. And through several phone calls with their organizer, ended up having that outing based at my cabin. So that was really cool. And met a lot of nice folks. I think, gosh, I would say there was probably 25, 28 people there. Camped out all in my yard, and a couple people had small RVs or camping trailers, and they were, so we were just all over the place. That was the first night. And then the next night, we all moved out into that particular area, which was only maybe 10 minutes from the cabin. And everyone was tent camping at that point for the most part. I didn't even have a tent at that time. So I went back to the cabin, late at night and crashed there. But so it was an interesting outing, and really got me hooked on it.
Did anything happen on that first outing that particularly interested you? Like, did you hear any vocals, or did anyone have a sighting or find any tracks or anything like that?
Not on that particular outing. There was one of the people, and we split up into like 4 groups with kind of went off in different directions. And one of the groups, they said they heard something went crashing off in the woods. And, you know, I'm kind of a logical thinker, so based on what they said and the tracks that were all over the place, I pretty much figured it was a deer. Well, there were some bobcat tracks in the area. And another guy that was part of that outing, he actually saw a Florida panther during that trip, right there in that very same vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but there weren't any kind of Bigfoot footprints or anything like that. So I kind of deduced, at least in my mind, that that's probably what it was. No one really had a visual. But it was all a lot of fun. Met a lot of nice people. And it really piqued my interest. And
what year was that, Pat?
I'm sorry?
What year was that?
I believe that was 2005.
Okay. And your first sighting that you ever had, was it in Florida?
Yes, it was only 3 or 4 months later. It was in March of 2006, I believe it was March. Excuse me, I've been nursing a cold all week. We had, me and a couple of the other guys that I met on that outing, they were both also from Florida. We had kind of gotten involved in processing some of these sighting reports that came into the website. So we had gotten a hold of one. This guy had put in a report that he had found footprints down in a green swamp, which was an hour and a half southwest of me. Now, the other two guys lived in more South Florida, so it was kind of in between where those two guys lived and where I lived. So we got a hold of this guy. We responded to his email sighting report and made contact with him by phone. Made plans to meet up with him in the area we went out there with him, walked around and trying to check out the area, and made plans to. We kind of interviewed him, then made plans to go. I think it was about 2 weekends later to go camping in that spot, spend the weekend out there and see what happened. So that was our real first official kind of outing on our own, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And we had found a couple of maybe footprints and heard some wood knocks, and you know, this was kind of new to us. We'd heard about these things, but we're still kind of unsure about it. But we did hear some wood knocks. We heard over the course of the next, 2 months, we would go out there every weekend or every other weekend and camp out. And over the course of those next 5 or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, we had found a couple of footprints. We'd heard some vocalizations off in the distance. We'd heard wood knocks on numerous occasions. So, you know, we kind of all went, got camcorders, plaster castings. And I ended up buying a new camcorder and game cameras and night vision, and, you know, started buying all this cool stuff. And that was the start of it. But one particular weekend we were out there, we decided to set up a secondary campsite. We had this big campsite that we had set up where we were all camped out. I took a small tent that I had, and we took it about maybe 200 or 300 yards down this small trail. And we set up my tent. It was in the afternoon. We had been putting bait, you know, different things out, apples, we tried pancakes, we tried peaches, we tried cantaloupes, dog food, just a variety of different stuff, leaving it in different locations and checking it all the time. Excuse me. So we decided to set up this secondary campsite. So we went down there in the middle of the afternoon, or late afternoon, right before dark, set up my tent, put my camcorder on a tripod, had a full battery charge and a brand new tape. I put it inside the tent with the door of the tent zipped open and the camera pointing out the doorway. And it wasn't a very good camcorder, but the battery and the tape, would last 2 hours or whatever it was. So I turned it on. We hung out for a little bit. We put up a game cam, and then we left. At about, I don't know, I want to say about 10:45 or whatever. I didn't want to leave it out there all night. So me and one of the other guys, we decided to walk down that trail in the dark. I had a small little bitty pocket flashlight. We walked down that trail, and I folded up the tripod, grabbed the camcorder and tripod, and we turned around and started coming back down this little bitty trail. And at one time it was like a fire break trail, but it was all overgrown, so it was pretty narrow. And we're starting to come back. I bet we didn't get 20 yards. And just out of the view of our flashlight, something big jumped out of the middle of the trail off to the side, like jumped, like it was trying to hide. Like if you run across a deer, it'll jump, and get out of sight.
Yeah.
So this thing actually jumped sideways off the trail. And it went 5 or 6 feet, but stopped. It didn't keep bounding away like a deer. And we're like, what the hell is that? We took a couple more steps and we're shining with a flashlight. And they're just off to my left of the trail. Behind a palmetto bush was the head and shoulders of this skunk ape, this Sasquatch. And it's staring at us. And its eyes were like, like big O's, just wide open. And it was just barely within the range of our Liberty flashlight. And we're both standing there staring at it. And it kind of leans to the left, like it's trying to get a better look at us, and then leans the other direction, and then it rose up, like it got, 6 or 7, 8 inches taller, like maybe up on the tiptoes, I'm thinking. That's the impression, even though I couldn't see the rest of its body, but it got tall. Like it was maybe crouched a little bit and then stood up and was looking over the top. So we're like, holy shit, what the hell? And then I had a pair of night vision goggles that, shaped like binoculars. I had them on a lanyard around my neck. So being that I couldn't see it really good with the flashlight, I wasn't going any closer. I'm not quite ready to run away, but I wasn't ready to go any closer. So it was like a Mexican standoff. He's looking at us, we're looking at him. So I reached down to grab my night vision, which were hanging on my chest like a pair of binoculars. And I went to turn them on and raise them up, and as soon as I did all that, in just a couple of seconds, this thing just jumped back in the trail and literally hauled ass away from it. And I could hear its, footprints pounding away. He just literally just vanished. Bam! Sorry, I made my dog bark. We called on the radio back to the other two guys at camp, and they're only a couple 100 yards away. And we're telling them what the hell just happened, And so now we got to go down the same trail back toward camp. Now, I don't know where this thing went. I wasn't even sure what it was, but I knew it wasn't a deer or a raccoon or a bear or anything else that I'd ever seen. So it was a pretty nervous walk, with these little bitty flashlights. I didn't have a pistol on me ahead of that camp, but, So we kind of did that almost hold each other's hands walk back to camp,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
can you describe what you saw before you continue? Can you just look like, and when you saw the eyes, were they reflections of the light, or were they actually, you could really see the eyes?
Well, I could kind of see the eyes, but it was like, this is one of them little bitty pocket flashlights with the, 2 or 3 AAA little batteries in them. So it has a range of about maybe 20 feet, and this was just outside of that range, so I didn't really get a really good look at this thing, enough to tell what it was. Sorry, I'm answering a question real quick on the chat. So I think the light, the eyes, it was a reflection off the flashlight.
Okay.
Right.
Because I had later seen had a couple sightings with no light, and you know, and it's different. We'll talk about more about that later, but I could see enough that its shoulders were at least 3 foot wide. It didn't have much of a neck, and it, you know, had a big head, and I knew it was pretty big. I mean, I really couldn't tell how big, but it was tall. And the next day we went back to the spot and measured to the top of the palmetto palm fronds that it was standing behind. And if y'all know what palmettos are, they're kind of fan-shaped, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the branch, the palmetto palm frond that it was peering above, I could see its head and shoulders. The tips of those palm fronds were about 6.5 feet tall, and I could probably see another foot to 18 inches above it. So this thing was at least 7.5 foot tall and 3 to 3.5 feet wide at the shoulders. Much bigger than I am, you know.
Yeah.
It was big. So
I have to ask you, did you have trouble sleeping that night?
Yeah, I did. You know,
what happens, you know, with that first sighting, it's like you don't sleep at all for like 24 hours.
Oh, I know. We stayed up all night, you know. We just talking. But
wow.
No campfire or anything like that, because where we were camping, you're not allowed to camp out there. And down here in Florida, we got all kinds of rules for every place. So we were incognito. No campfire, you know, stay out of sight. Our campsite was tucked away where nobody could find us, type of a thing. And yet it was only maybe 500 or 600 yards as the crow flies off of the main road that bisects the very center of the Green Swamp. And it's a pretty busy road during the day. At night it's sporadic traffic, but there's been a lot of sightings on that roadway over the years, on that same state road.
Why do you think the Sasquatch are in that area?
Well, I don't know. We, over the course of our investigation in that one specific area, we were able to identify 5 separate ones because of their footprint. So we were able to locate, photograph, video, and in some cases make very, very detailed plaster casts of 5 separate ones, because we could tell by the different sizes and the shapes and different identifying characteristics that it was 5 separate individuals that we were running across repeatedly in that small specific area. And we kind of talked it over many times. We figured it was probably, you know, like a small family unit, because it was in that one specific area is what our thoughts were.
We have a question from the chat, Pat. New Hampshire Squatch wants to know, why hasn't Finding Bigfoot lift you up? Good show.
Well, actually, they kind of did, but I didn't really participate. And that was up in my research area in Alabama, which was the Alabama outing. It came on last year, but it was filmed 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my Alabama research area. Lori, you have been there.
Yes, I have.
So that was, yeah. But I don't know. I'm not in any real organized group per se. And I kind of, I don't know, kind of tend to do my own thing, so to speak.
Yeah. Pat, I got to ask, I hadn't talked to you in a while. Do you still have your research trailer that you had?
I sure do.
Wow. That is a research trailer deluxe right there.
Well, I've made some improvements over on it. It's, you know, it's kind of always been an evolution, a process and evolution. So every time I use it, I come up with some other idea that might make it a little bit better, a little bit easier to use. Matter of fact, y'all have one of the pictures of it on your slideshow for this show tonight.
Yes. Right. On the slideshow, you can see what we call the booger buggy. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
The booger buggy.
That happens to be, that picture was taken in the Ocala National Forest about 2 years ago. My good friend Willie and I were out camping.
Well, for our listeners, can you kind of tell us how you have your booger buggy set up? What was it originally, and what did you do to it to get it equipped for Sasquatch research?
Well, let me think. I was going to buy. At the time I was just looking to buy a trailer instead of packing all my junk, my stuff in my truck, and then, you know, half of it not being secured or in the rain when you stop it for gas or whatever on a road trip. I got the idea, you know, what if I had a nitro trailer? I could just throw everything in it, and then I could just kind of sleep in it. Well, that evolved into trying to find just an enclosed motorcycle trailer, into ordering one custom made with windows on the front and the two sides that all open and have screens, 2 bubble hatches. The back doors, instead of a ramp door like a motorcycle trailer, I wanted the side-by-side ambulance-type doors with windows in them. The roof, I had 2 bubble tops on it installed, and also I guess I've got 5 or 6 12-volt outlets all around, you know, a couple in the ceiling, some near the back door, some near the front. And then I added carpet. The walls were plywood, so I finished those with a stain and a nice polyurethane. I added shelves front and back. I took one of the bubble hatches off and added steel pipe fittings and some PVC fittings and other fittings. I custom made a cover, a lid for the bubble hatch. I took the bubble hatch off, made a watertight but flexible connection, and then a waterproof housing for my thermal imager. That sits up on the roof and comes down through, and I can control it from the inside like a periscope. I've got 2 separate portable DVR 12-volt setups that I can record about a week on each, video and audio. The front of the trailer on the tongue, I put a diamond plate toolbox with 2 deep cycle 12-volt marine batteries that I robbed off of my boat. You know, I took them off my boat and put them in there. Inside, I've got set up some shelves where I can put my gear up and set up my DVR recorders and sit there and look, you know, watch it or review tapes or video or through the laptop, whatnot. I used to carry around a generator, but I got everything converted to 12-volt. I redid all the lights inside and put LED lighting in it. It's easier on the eyes and lasts much better, you know, longer. I made a 24-foot long set of jumper cables so I don't have to unhitch the trailer to recharge off my truck battery.
Mm-hmm.
I put a cot inside with air mattress. I've got a couple of those real big plastic gear boxes for like toolboxes. I got all my stuff self-contained in that. I can roll them right in there and lock them down, and I'm off. You know, I'm off for a week.
Wow. Everybody's dream. I mean, that's just like set up. Now that is set up.
Yeah.
Where have you been? Do you ever leave the state of Florida? I know you do, but you say you went to Alabama. Did you? When did you start going to Alabama? What year was that you began to go to Alabama?
Oh, I want to say October of 2007.
Okay.
and met a bunch of great guys up there. I'm still friends with them. Still a member. It's a hunting lease is what it is. It's about 10,000 acres. It changes from year to year, the size of the lease. But on average, it's about 10,000 acres. It's all private land behind, fences and lock gates. Been a lot of sightings, a lot of encounters out there, not only with me, but with a lot of the local hunters. JB's been up there. You've been up there.
Mm-hmm. Great place.
Yeah,
where Bigfoot did go. They did go there and did a show at this site.
The Alabama episode was filmed on that same piece of property with a little short clip of thermal imaging.
Yes. Could you tell us about some of the experiences that you had in Alabama? Any particular ones that really stand out to you?
Well, let's see. There's a couple of them. Well, that was like that one trip when it got really super cold and you came up there and met me up there and we researched on the weekend. Remember that one night we kept hearing those big, huge rocks getting thrown in the lake that we were camped next to all night, off and on. It wasn't like pretty splash. It was like splash. It was big rocks going into the lake. I don't know, it was pretty scary. Also, I recall, and I recorded it too, and I've never been able to find that recording, but something, during the night, I saw something pass in front of the tent. That's right. And how bright it was. Yes. And I saw something pass in front of the tent. Well, I thought it was coons. What I thought it was, because whatever it was got up on the table. We had thanks to Hattie, he had provided us with steaks and baked potatoes and just all the food we could eat that night. It was, I think, New Year's Eve. It was steak. It was New Year's Day? Yeah, it was steak and baked potatoes, remember? Yes, it was awesome. Anyway, we had more than we could eat. We had a plate full, and I think it was steak and another baked potato on the plate. We just had it covered up with foil and on a table outside of the booger buggy. We also had a coffee pot and everything set up there. And, of course, Pat's inside the booger buggy, and I don't think he heard all of this, but I could hear something messing around with the coffee pot over there. And I said, well, them coons are going to get that plate for sure. Well, the next morning, the plate was completely left alone. Now, I cannot imagine a coon leaving a steak and baked potato alone, but nothing had touched that food. But the coffee pot, I think, had been messed with a little bit. Mm-hmm. But something had been out there. I could hear what sounded like steps and everything else. And, of course, everything, he had thermal imaging going. But the only thing that he was able to see was the top of one little tree move. Everything else was out of range of his thermal imager. It's almost like, I don't know, I don't think they knew. They were just lucky that they didn't get in. Well, remember that little tree, the way my camper was parked, the back of my camper, we were on a little point of land that goes out into this small lake. The back of my camper was pointed towards one direction of the water, and it was maybe 15 or 20 feet from the back of my trailer to the water's edge. And it started icing over. It was so cold. Yeah. But there was a little tree about halfway between the back of my camper with the thermal imager on top, and the ground sloped away to the lake. So whatever came through there, it could have probably been 7 or 8 feet tall and been just below the view of the way the thermal imager was pointing, because I had it pointed across the lake at that other hillside. Mm-hmm. So it was in the foreground but below the bottom viewing edge.
Well, didn't you have some experiences there during the summer when you camped out, the watermelon incident?
Yeah, I used to go up there by myself. I made numerous trips up there by myself. And, you know, a couple of local guys, Mark and Keith, Hattie, Rusty, some of them guys.
Probably that's better going up there during the summertime that it is 9 degrees. It was so cold that when we emptied the coffee pot, the grounds were frozen to a little donut.
Wow.
I remember that. I was like, this is too cold. It was so cold. It was awful. 9 degrees. Wow. So how was it during the summer?
Oh, it's beautiful. You know, it's warm like down here, humid, so it's just like home for me. There's literally no bugs though. Down here you'll lose a quart of, you know, blood a day between mosquitoes and ticks and chiggers and everything else, deer flies.
Yeah.
So it's nice. I go up there and it's like, dang, this is just really nice. But there's that spring-fed lake that we camp by. It's chilly for me in the summer, but it sure is nice to take a dip every day, you know, get cleaned up. All that, and there's really not too many people that go up there, you know, from the hunting league because it's private property. In the summertime, sometimes people go up there, do a little four-wheeling or maybe horseback riding or hang out by the lake with the kids during the day. But at night, it's pretty much deserted. So it's really, really nice. And of course, it's 10 minutes from a super Walmart, anything you need. So you know. You're really in the backwoods, but you're close to town. You know, you can go and get whatever supplies you need during the day. So it's perfect.
Can you tell us about the one night that you were sleeping in the booger buggy? Of course, you had your windows open. Mm-hmm. You heard something run through your camp?
Yeah. All right, let me see if I can describe it. It's right next to that lake. And you know the spot, but I'll describe it for everyone else. It's a man-made lake, and it was dammed up in, I want to say, the 1930s from what I was told. Two little hillsides come together. They had moved a bunch of dirt and clay and rocks, poured a little dam spillway there with some pipes on it, and that's the road. But what it does is it causes all the water to back up into that lake. So there's a clearing right there at that end of the lake where everyone hangs out. And I used to camp there quite frequently. And right directly across this little, it creates a creek and then a spillway, which is a waterfall on the backside of this. Think of it as a dam, but it's only maybe 20, 30 feet wide and maybe 30, maybe even 40 feet tall. So right across the other side of the spillway is this little rock outcropping, which is a little bit higher from the level where I'm camped at. And the back of my camper was pointing in that direction. I was sound asleep. Had all my windows open. The blinds were open. No, I think I had them shut. The blinds were shut, but the windows were open. And I heard, what woke me up was probably three running, pounding footsteps, which were out the back of my trailer, behind my head, the way I was laying down. And then, that woke me up. And then it was like maybe a second or two of no noise at all. And then a very loud thud, like a landing footstep, which I took to mean something ran down that rock outcropping, jumped over that water, landed on my side of that spillway, and continued to run directly almost at my trailer. Ran alongside my trailer, so first I was hearing the sound through the back windows, then through the side windows, and as it continued to run between my camper and my trailer and where I had the campfire, I mean, it was that close. Campfire's maybe 20 feet away from the edge of my trailer. So it ran between where the campfire was and the edge of my trailer and continued running down the road out the other side of camp, and then I could hear the pounding, running footsteps out the front window of my camper. And of course, I sat straight up, and I said, what the fuck, you know? I mean, I literally, out of a sound sleep, it scared the crap out of me at first. But then it's running away, and, I like to compare them to their antics to like kids ringing your doorbell and running off. They just want to mess with you to see what your reaction is.
Yep.
And so as it's running away, I went from heart pounding, waking up, what the hell is that, to laughing. I literally LOL'd, laughed out loud. And I'm up there all by myself, not a soul around. You can hear any vehicles come in from a mile away. Just the roads are up on top of the hills. You can hear them from a long distance if there was anybody else there. And this was, 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, 3, 4 in the morning. So that was one night. Another night, camped at the same spot. I woke up, and my camper was rocking back and forth. And then it stopped and something ran off. And something literally was pushing on the side of the trailer and had that thing rocking almost like it would not quite tip over. But, and I don't think that was the intention. I think the intention was to, again, ring the doorbell and run off. And it woke me up, and it scared the crap out of me for a minute. And then I laughed out loud again, It's like, holy shit. So, so there's been some really cool experiences up there. I've heard some crazy vocalizations. My last trip up there, we got a great one. I have one on my phone, actually, an audio that one of my friends, Keith, up there recorded, which, I can email that to you if you don't want to play it on air. It's really cool. You've heard it. Sweet. Maybe y'all have heard it.
What was it that you recorded?
Well, it sounds like someone talking.
Huh.
You've heard it, Lori. You want to listen to?
Yeah. Send it to Nite Callers, and I'll pull it up, and we'll play it after the intermission.
Okay. I know I have it here on my. Let me do a quick search. I don't know why I didn't think about sending it to you earlier, but. But I'm looking for it right now while we're talking. So.
Okay.
And I'll email it to you.
Okay. While you're looking for that, I think Lauren has made it in.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi,
hey,
Pat.
Lauren.
How are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Doing good. Good to hear your voice.
Well, you too.
Yeah. I am still on the road home. I got caught up and could not get away.
Oh, wow.
For good reason. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I'll tell you all about it later. It was awesome. But I'm sorry I couldn't be here sooner. So if y'all want to go ahead and go to intermission, and then we can do a photos real quick later, I should be home by then. Okay?
All right.
That sounds great. Hold on just a minute, though. I think we have a question, a caller. So we're going to go ahead and go to the call.
Okay.
941, you're on Nite Callers Radio.
So does that mean that's me?
Yes, that's you. You got a question?
Well, isn't that nice?
Hey,
Mr. Pat Rance, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I don't know. I'm hearing you hacking and sneezing and coughing, and you sound like you're sicker than a dog.
I have been sick all week. This weather's been crazy. It's been freezing cold. It's like 57 now, and I've got my space heater on.
Oh, you poor thing, 57. It's like 30-something here in Kentucky. Hey, I just want to say hi to all you guys because Pat talked about you guys all the time. I got to go to the area he's just been talking about, and he got to educate me on that area twice, and each time I had experiences. And each time, too, when I came to him with my stories, each time he knew I was telling the truth because he said, this is common what you say. And he even said to me, the things you said, I know they're true because I've heard them from other people before, and I never told you those stories, and you came and told me that. So I don't know if you remember that, Pat, but woo! but he talks about you guys. He talked about you guys all the time, so I wanted to make sure I said hello.
Was it good what he said?
Oh my gosh, I was like, golly, will I ever be in the group of friends? You know, it just seems so tight. So, but he taught me so much ahead of time, and then I got to go out there 2 different times, and I know that I experienced Bigfoot and Big Feet and tribes of them, and more than most people have ever in 20 years or more of their search. You just got to go where they are, you know?
Exactly.
I agree. Just like in real estate, location, location, location.
And Pat, let me tell you, when Pat leads the way, Mr. Inspector Gadget will, you know, if he's not happy with the site, he'll, you know, it doesn't matter if you've driven 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever you've done, he will wait until he finds the spot that he's got the best vibe for, and then that's when we decide to settle and camp out.
Yeah. You know, he really takes for granted about his vibe. But, you know, he does have that, I don't know, extra sense when it comes to them. And
I think they really like him, yeah.
I do too.
You know, maybe they're all female Bigfoot, and they just love his look. It's got that McLeod look going on, you know?
I don't know about that, Connie, but...
You're like, what do I say to that?
You know what, though? He's got it right. I mean, I was so thankful that he was there each time because he was kind enough to help make me feel safe. And feeling safe is not being in a tent or a sleeping bag on the ground. Not only Spiderville.
Spiders.
The spiders are unreal. I'll tell you this story, and I remember looking into the beautiful night with a flashlight and seeing the reflection of the dew on the grass all across this beautiful field where we were camping. However, at one point I realized, wait a minute, it's not morning. That's not dew. It was thousands of hundreds of thousands of thousands of thousands of spider eyes reflecting back at me from the light. And those were only the ones that were looking at me. There were others looking the other way.
Would you turn that light off?
Yeah, exactly.
He says, I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for Bigfoots, not spiders.
Oh, man. And Pat is gentleman enough that he sets up a nice, what is that called? What is that, Pat, where you get to go to the bathroom, that little tent you set up for us?
Porta potty.
Porta potty.
A nice porta potty, yeah, that was very private. And, you know, and just I love his setup where he is safe when he sleeps, where, you know, there's area between he and any creature that walks up to you. I like his little fortress that he has set up. He's got it going on. So I appreciate that, and I learned from the best, that's for sure.
Especially since they like him so much. Probably he'd never get any sleep if he did sleep in the booger buggy.
You're right. It's probably just a bunch of female Bigfoots coming over. Hey, it's Pat again. Whoa. Got to be what's going on. But, Pat, I appreciate you always helping me out and being there. And he's a heck of a cook as well.
Oh, he sure is.
Chef Connie, you're not a bad cook yourself, Chef Connie. This lady has done her own TV show, Chef Connie.
Well,
absolutely.
Well, you know, the better thing is when you can cook for me. I prefer that, so don't tell anybody that I can cook. It was nicer to let you do it all because you're wonderful at it. Well, even better than that, I hope you guys tune in because thank God above that I'm George Norrie has been kind enough to allow me to be a guest host and on Coast to Coast, and I've been on it a couple times. One of them I talked about Bigfoot, and the next time coming up is December 26th specific time, so really December 27th if you guys are also on the East Coast with me. 1 to 5 at that point, but I hope you guys can tune in too. At one point I'm going to have Pat telling us, broadcasting live from one of these places that he's at.
Yeah, we haven't done that in a while, have we, Lori?
No, we haven't.
We haven't.
We live like 18 hours apart. It's hard for us to get together. It really is.
Well, we have.
So, where are you?
Florida. I'm in
So
East
where are you?
Texas. East Texas. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you the one with what's the name of that one that he sees there?
No, you're referring to Eddie the Yeti. No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
That's
Mississippi.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There are people in the chat, Pat, that want to hear about Eddie the Yeti. They want to hear about him.
Okay,
Definitely
maybe after
get back, we can have to tell us about
we
that.
do the audio recordings that I just sent you.
Did you send it?
What?
Yeah, check your Nite Callers Blog Talk Radio email address.
Okay.
Hey, I'll let you guys go. I wanted to say hey and just meet the people he talks about, and I also want to thank you, Pat, for teaching me so much. I cannot wait to get back with you doing something, and have fun. I'm listening to you. I'm packing and unpacking boxes, so I'm listening to you as I'm doing this stuff. So
Thanks
you guys
for
have
calling.
fun. Absolutely. You guys, it's sounding good. Great stories. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Thanks, Connie.
Okay.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for calling in, Connie.
Sure. I'm listening to you guys. You sound great. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Hey, Pat, did you send that to my email? Because I haven't. Did you send it to the Nite Callers?
I sent it to Nite Callers at Yahoo, right?
It's nightcallers_VTR@yahoo.com.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Yeah.
That I sent you the early emails to 4 minutes ago.
Well, I haven't got it.
It says it was sent, but it hasn't come back. So, nightcallers_VTR@yahoo.com.
NITE?
Yes, sir. NITE Callers. I'd already sent some pictures to Lori at that web address earlier in the week.
Yes.
Well, it may take a few minutes.
Yeah, it might. Well, I tell you
Here.
what we're going to do, everyone. We're going to go ahead and go to intermission. And in the meantime, I hope that comes in. And if it does, we will play it for you right after intermission. So everyone will be back in about 7-8 minutes. Okay? Good little break there. Okay, we'll talk to you all in a bit.
Sister brought her new boyfriend. He was a Mexican. We didn't know what to think of him. Come and sing Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad. Brother Ken brought his kids with him. The three from his first wife, Lynn, and the two identical twins from his second wife, Mary Nell. Of course, he brought his new wife, Kay, who talks all about, hey, chain smoking while the stereo plays. Noel, Noel, the first Noel. Turn the ball game on. Mixed margaritas when the eggnog's gone. Send somebody to the quick pack store. We need some ice and an extension cord. A can of bean dip and some Diane rice. A box of tampons, some Marlboro Lights. Hallelujah, everybody say cheese. Merry Christmas from the family. drove from Harlingen. I can't remember how I'm kin to them, but when they tried to plug their motorhome in, they blew our Christmas light. Cousin David knew just what went wrong, so we all waited out on our front lawn. He threw a breaker and the lights came on, and we sang Silent Night, oh, Silent Night. Oh, holy night. Coffee circuit, turn the ball game on, make Bloody Marys, 'cause we all want. Send somebody to the stop and go. We need some celery and a can of fake snow, a bag of lemons and some Diet Sprite, a box of tampons for Salem Light. Hallelujah, everybody say cheese. Merry Christmas from the land behind.
So many feel their life is meaningless and out of their control. There is a part deep inside of all people that want to make a difference, especially in a world that seems it can't be fixed. We want to lay our heads on our pillows at night, knowing we appreciated that day and we did all we could to make this world a better place. God is placing in each person a hero that needs to be awakened, to be inspired, to be fully human, to live life as God created you to be. Fame is what you do for yourself, but greatness is what you do for others. Most heroic events are private ones. Every moment in every person's life is an opportunity to do something to serve another human being. Now, what would happen if all of us stepped into each moment saying, I am here to make the world better for someone else today? That's what it means to live a heroic life. You are here to be God present in human history. The world is watching, and people are disappointed with their lives, living inhuman lives. To live fully human is to live your most heroic life. Why don't you make a decision today to make a difference in the world? Be a person of integrity. Start by doing what you say you are going to do. Keep your word. Be dependable. Be someone that if you tell them you are going to do something, they know you are going to do it. There is so little of that in the world today. Be a person of truth. Be a person that looks beyond yourself to what you might be able to do for somebody else. The world is looking for people that really represent the Jesus Christ they say they serve. And lastly, you may feel that one good deed does not change the way our world is heading, but in God's eyes, you have changed the world by that simple kindness towards another human being. God bless you all, and back to Nite Callers Radio.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back to Nite Callers Radio.
Hey.
Snuck in on you, didn't
Oh,
Hey, Pat.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to sneak in a quick question here. You've been doing this for a while. It's my usual question. There are different types between, like you've been up to Alabama, you've been messing around in Florida for a while. Some people say that the ones in Florida have red and shaggy hair, kind of look like an orangutan almost, and the ones up in Alabama, basically up and down the coast there, are fairly standard, black, brown, medium length hair. What do you think? What are your personal opinions about what a Bigfoot actually is, and the different types that are across the country?
Well, as far as the coloring from what I've kind of seen, and the best way I can describe it is, in really all the places that I've researched, it's all been in pine forests. Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Texas, even Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma. It's kind of the pine belt, you know. So most of the terrain in these areas were predominantly pine forests with a mixture of other hardwoods or swampy areas. So in my line of thinking anyway, the coloring that I've seen is kind of that color of old pine straw on the ground, where it's kind of not bleached, but kind of, you know, it's kind of that reddish brown, but dull reddish brown color. And to me, that makes perfect sense. If they're in those environments, they would blend in pretty well, in my line of reasoning. That's my take on the coloring, as far as what they are.
But how do you feel? How do they feel to you? As far as humanish, some people say apish.
Oh, I definitely think there's a lot of intelligence there. I don't think they're quite human in our, you know, definition, what you would normally think of a definition as a human. But they're far and above an ape level, somewhere in between. But there is definitely, in my own personal experience, there is definitely a sense of mischief, a sense of humor, and a very deep sense of intelligence. These guys are extremely intelligent. There's no comparison to what you would consider a normal forest animal. That, in my opinion, they're not an animal. Their intelligence level is way above any of the great ape species. That, you know, I mean, I'm not a great ape researcher or zookeeper or Diane Fossey or anything like that, but in my experience and the things that I've seen and experienced, you know, that's my thoughts anyway.
And you'll hear kind of like a culture behind them. They've been dealing with the local natives for thousands of years, and they've hung around them for quite a while.
Oh, yes, and I firmly believe, I mean, I've heard what I would consider the language, and I just sent Lori an audio.
That's right.
My research area in Alabama. Now, I didn't personally record it, but my good friend Keith did. And he recorded it back, I want to say 2008, maybe 2009. But y'all be able to listen to it. Many of my friends have heard it numerous times. And I don't know if you're ready to, if you want to ask me some more questions, or let me know before y'all are ready to play it, and I'll kind of do the back.
I'm trying to get it uploaded right now, and it's
okay.
not wanting to upload. I don't know. It's saying it's incorrect format, but it's saying it's an MP3, so I don't understand what. There we go. Okay.
All right. Well, let me give you the backstory of this before we play it.
Okay.
Just take a minute. Now, I wasn't even present. But my friend Keith, he likes to go coon hunting, where they take dogs out at night and they turn the dogs loose. And the dogs will run off in the woods and, you know, eventually come on the scent of a raccoon, and they'll chase that raccoon for miles. And the guys will follow them in the trucks and, you know, through the woods and eventually find the dogs. And the dogs will invariably have a raccoon treed somewhere, and it's not, the point of it isn't to shoot the raccoon. The point of it is kind of a competition with the dogs, a training exercise. That's the sport, to chase the raccoon, get it treed, and then you're done. That's the end of the hunt. So they don't shoot them, they don't hunt them, they eat them. So he was up there one night with another guy. They both had their dogs out there, and at the end of the night, they collected all the dogs except for one of Keith's dogs, and they kept, I don't know if Keith's listening tonight. I sent him an email earlier, but he might be on here. But JB, this is the same place where you were that one time several years back, and you met Keith. But he had lost one of his dogs, couldn't find it. So every time he called for the missing dog, the dogs in the back of his truck, the other ones, kept barking. So he couldn't hear anything. So he ran into town, dropped off the other dogs, came back up on the mountain, went up on top of a hill, and was calling for his dog and listening, you know. So he was trying to listen what direction maybe he might hear his dog barking off in the distance, and then he would drive in that direction and call again until he eventually pinpointed. Well, he didn't hear anything, so he had one of these little set of hunter's ears you all may be familiar with, little set of headphones, and it's got like a little pistol grip thing that you can turn it on and off with. And there's a little button on the one that he has, and it'll make a recording. It'll record for maybe 20 or 30 seconds. Well, he was calling his dog and listening. And he thought he heard something growling, so he hit that little record button. This is what he recorded. So go ahead and play it, Laura.
Okay. Is it the K-Talk that you're wanting me to play?
Yes. K-Talk.
Okay. I'm trying to get it to upload. It's saying it's incorrect format, but I downloaded it from a different source, so you'll just give me a moment.
If you need to,
I have it just
need me to play it on my speakers, we could try that too. I don't know. Or Billy, maybe you can download it from the Blog Talk Radio email and try it on yours. I don't know.
All right.
I'm giving it one more shot here. It finally came to the email, so we're going to see if it'll work. Please download. Apparently, it's not recognizing it. I don't understand it because it says it's an MP3.
You want me to try to play it through my speakers into my phone?
Wait, hold on. I think it uploaded. Give it just a moment to process, and we'll be ready to play it. Yay!
Okay, good.
Okay, good. Okay, this was in Alabama. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's the same property where you'd gone out there and met with me, and we researched all that week.
Okay.
And the same property where JB has been, and the same property where Connie, who previously called in, she's been there as well.
Okay, let's see if it'll play. Wow. Let's play that one more time. That's an amazing recording.
Yes, and it's been analyzed. It does sound like a language. I agree. My memory, Lori. What's that gentleman's name that has been doing the analyzing on the?
I know. Scott Nelson.
Yeah, R. Scott Nelson.
Yeah, Scott Nelson. Yes.
I had sent that to him several years ago, and he had already been researching and trying to interpret the sounds and the noises in the so-called language on those Sierra sounds. And he said, you recall on your show, that he thought it was the exact same language as what's presented on the Sierra sounds, which is 3,000 miles away and 40 years ago.
How incredible is that?
He,
that's just almost unbelievable, but that is.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he also said those noises, those sounds, could not be made in a human vocal tract because it would take a much longer vocal tract. In other words, a much larger body to make those sounds. The human mouth, tongue, and vocal tract is not long enough to make those deep of a sound.
Wow.
So what's the rest of the story with the gentleman that recorded that?
He's a friend of mine. He lives there in that local town, hunts up there, grown up there his whole life. He's got some interesting stories to tell. Really interesting.
I was going to ask what his reaction was to what he recorded, what he thought.
Well, he thought it was a language too. He thought it was talking. At first, when he first heard it and he hit the record button, it sounded like growling.
Yeah.
After he listened to it, his first thought was, it's some kind of language. It's talking. And I got to agree. I've heard it many, many, many times over the years, listened to it. It sure sounds like it's talking to me. I don't understand it, but it's definitely some kind of language.
Maybe play it one more time.
Yeah, maybe turn it down just a hair, maybe to make it a little bit clearer.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, that was good.
That was good. Wow. I would just flip out if I heard something like that. Seriously, I would. I'd just be
my
so
dog.
excited.
I have my phone on speakerphone, and I have it muted, and Gizmo is standing here turning his head side to side and growling at my phone. So whatever that is and whatever it's saying, my dog does not like it at all.
Well, let's play it again one more time for him. What'd he do? I'm so mean.
He would walk up to it and then back away, doing that thing that dogs do when they're, upset.
Mm-hmm.
Where they kind of wag their head from side to side, backing away, growling.
Yeah.
My ex-wife used to do that.
Yeah. What?
Let's see what he does when we play the Florida Howl. Let's play the Florida Howl.
Let me tell you about that one.
Okay.
That was recorded by a guy by the name of Dan McGee, and he was on the Florida outing that I first went on when I first started getting into all this. And after that outing, a bunch of us locals, we went back to the same spot, which, again, is only about 10 or 15 minutes from my cabin. And we did a couple of outings up there, with just a handful of us. He was able to get this recording, and it's been posted on the BFRO's website. Chris, you were there at that original outing, you remember? But anyway, so this is This was Dan. I got to give credit to Dan McGee. I haven't talked to him in years, but he recorded this. So go ahead.
Okay. But, do I need to back it down a little bit?
Possibly. If you want to play it again.
Yes. I've heard that down here. That's a very familiar sound.
Mm-hmm. No reaction on that one.
No reaction on that one. Okay, so how far was he from this howl? Did he have to amp up the audio to hear it, or was it?
Yeah, I think he did. I mean, it was hard to say. It was way off in the distance.
Okay.
Pretty far off, but.
Well, could you go ahead and tell us about the New Hampshire Squash had a question before the intermission about the infrasound you experienced with Old Crow. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if it was infrasound.
Okay.
Only because
you may be one of those people that doesn't feel it when you're being exposed.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't physically feel anything, and I didn't hear anything, but we both got that same feeling at precisely the same minute after 45 minutes of really peaceful, really cool face-to-face encounter. It's time to get the hell out of here. But so anyways, long story short, or long story long, we have a mutual friend. Now my friend Patty, she lives out in Oklahoma. And if you look on that slideshow that y'all put up there, there's a picture of me sitting in a camouflage tent. That was actually in her property, in eastern Oklahoma. I made a road trip out there and spent about 5 days with her. Chris, I know you've been up there too, and he wrote a book and some of her stories in that. But anyways,
it's called Impossible Visits. Is that the name of it?
Yes.
Chris Noel. All right.
That was, I believe, his first book. But, so anyway, Patty and I both had this mutual friend who we met on a internet forum, Bigfoot forum, who lives in Mississippi. She's a married lady. Her and her husband they're divorced now, but they had like 90-something acres. Big, beautiful house, big barn. A lot of the acreage was clear cut, just beautiful green rolling hillsides, swimming pool. But all around the perimeter, maybe a third of the property was heavily wooded and second growth planted pines. And I had gotten to know them and invited myself up, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 different times. But this particular trip was maybe maybe it was 4th or 5th time up there. Can't remember now, but anyways, we had my friend Patty came over from Oklahoma with her son, who was about 12 at the time. He's he's probably 17 or 18 now. But anyways, so they had a tent. The two girls, the lady of the house and my friend Patty, they had their tent. We called that the girls' tent. The lady that lived there, she had 2 sons, and then Patty's son. There was 3 of them, 3 boys, and they had their tent. We called it the boys' tent. And then I didn't have my camping trailer with me. I don't even think I had it at the time. So I had my tent set up, same tent that you can see in that picture, that camouflage one. And we kind of had them all set up in a semicircle, and I had set up this big beach canopy. It was March, and I want to say must have been 08, because I got my camper in 09. But we planned it, or they planned it, on the spring solstice, I believe. Whatever that it's like a Native American, not really a
It
holiday.
was probably the spring equinox.
That's it. That's it, because it was the full moon in March, so that's what it was. So it was planned around that weekend, and it was a little chilly for me, but we got set up.
You have lizard blood anyway.
Well, I know I do. It's maybe 300 yards from their house, and we can see their house, from across the field. We're camped up on the edge of the field, near the edge of the woods. And now the people that lived there, they had seen who they had named Eddie the Yeti numerous times. A couple of real clear sightings. They had tons of things going on around their house and chicken coop and, but so we had a storm rolling in, and we're under a tornado watch. So the lady that lived there, she took all three of the boys into the house. They bailed on us. Patty and I sat there underneath that beach canopy, and we lowered it down so we could hold on to it because the wind was whipping up. It was a full moon, but we had a lot of cloud cover, and the clouds were moving really fast, so it was almost like a flickering light, almost like a strobe light type effect. It would get bright, it would get dim, bright, dim, bright, dim, real breezy. You could hear the wind going through the trees, swishing through all these pines. Now, like I said, we were under tornado watch, so I had taken my audio recording equipment and my thermal imager down, packed it up in my truck. We really thought we were going to have to literally bail because we're, tornado watch is coming across the radio all the time and heavy winds. So we're sitting there just talking and holding this canopy down. And all of a sudden we hear this god-awful branches breaking and trees snapping and all this huge noise coming in front of us in the woods. And we looked at each other and go, holy shit, what is that? And then it got quiet. We're still hearing the wind going through the pines and swishing and, So we went back to chit-chatting, and we're only sitting a couple feet apart, just chit-chatting and talking and visiting. We're old friends at this point. And Patty looks at me and she says, hey, I think we got a visitor. And I looked up right in front of us. And again, it was maybe 30-something feet away or the edge of the tree line. And there is this huge, magnificent creature. I mean, he just appeared right at the edge of the tree line. I didn't see it walk up. All of a sudden, he was there. So the light was kind of dim. He was just back in the tree line, but enough where you could see him really good, especially when the light got a little bit brighter, So we assumed at that point that was Eddie the Yeti because I would say he was every bit of 10 foot tall. If I had to guess on a weight, he would easily be 700-800 pounds, maybe 4 foot across the shoulders, just huge. Not fat, but just immensely strong looking. And he was just standing there staring at us. I don't know if he'd already been there for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know. But all of a sudden he was just there, didn't make a sound. So, we had traveled up there for exactly this thing to happen. We had hoped to make contact. So we waved at him.
That's what I do.
That's all we think of to do. We waved at him. Hey, we see you, and it's, we're good, we're cool. It was, kind of intimidating, but at the same time, this is what we'd been hoping to accomplish. So he just stood there and looked at us. So we kind of were chit-chatting back and forth, and we'd look up every couple of seconds or every minute or two. He's still standing there. And we'd wave at him, and hoping, well, maybe he'll wave back or something. He never moved at all, never acknowledged us except stared at us. So a little bit of time went on, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. He's still standing there. We'd wave at him, and we'd say, come on in. We're waving him in, come here, And he's just standing there. We're trying to be friendly and non-threatening. So we just sat there, and we talked. And we look up, and we'd wave again and just go on about our business. Well, after, I wasn't looking at my watch, so But I would say maybe after 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, it was the second one, then the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one. It was the entire family. And the second one was, I would guess, it was smaller than Eddie, maybe 8 foot tall, 7.5, 8 foot tall. Smaller in stature, but we took it to be Mrs. Eddie the Eddie. You know? Yeah. And there was another one that was, I don't know, maybe 6 foot tall, another one 4.5 or 5 feet tall, and then a little guy. I mean, the little one was like 3 or 4 feet tall. It was just a little, it was a kid, clearly a kid. You know, it was like mom, dad, and 3 kids. So it was basically Mr. and Mrs. Eddie the Eddie and their kids. And it was really cool. We waved at them. They just stared and looked at us. The little one was kind of moving around a little bit like a normal human kid would do, you know, just putzing around. And that lasted for maybe another 10 minutes or so. And then all of a sudden, I mean, everything was cool. We're laid back, relaxed. We're checking them out. They're getting a good look at us. Everyone's just being neighborly.
How long did you say this went on? How long?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 minutes, probably, entire.
Oh, my God, that's almost unheard of.
I know.
I think Connie's right. I think you are a big magnet. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, it was just the coolest thing I've really ever experienced in my life.
That's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It never happens again. Never.
You're right. And I'd love to go back to that property, but like I said, that my friend, that couple, they're divorced, and he still owns the property. She's moved on. I don't know if they're still having activity or not. He kind of wouldn't acknowledge it, although he had the first sighting, the husband. And that was daytime, and he about crapped himself. But he just was kind of in denial about the whole thing. Didn't really even want to talk about it, you know. He just lived there, bury your head in the sand, ignore it, you know.
Right.
But she was real active. She would put food out and toys out and, you know, do all kinds of different ways to try to interact. But that was like the coolest thing. And then just all of a sudden, Patty looked at me and I looked at her at the exact same second. And her eyes were as big as pie plates, and I know mine were too. And it was like, holy shit, it's time to go. For some reason, we both, like somebody hit a light switch, we both got the same exact thought. And it was almost like panic mode. We got to get out of here right now. Not 5 minutes, now. Get up and leave. And I can't explain it. I didn't feel anything. I didn't hear anything. The 5 of them were still standing where they were. They didn't make any noises or any threatening gestures or anything. But all of a sudden, we had to get out of there. It was time to go. So I told Patty, and she has a back issue and can't move very fast and uses a cane from time to time. So I told her, Patty, I said, look, the truck's unlocked, my truck. It was kind of behind us. I said, just get up and walk over there and get in. You know, just get in the truck. Go ahead. I'm going to sit here until you're in the truck. So she got in, and I kind of looked over my shoulder. I heard the door close. I got up slowly, I had just bought 2 blankets, brand new blankets. They were still in their wrappers. And I grabbed those and got in the truck. And I didn't turn on the headlights, but we just pulled away. We drove all the way across the property and parked in front of their horse barn where there was a big floodlight right up above us. And by that time it was, I don't want to say 4:30 in the morning or something. It hadn't rained yet, but it was really stormy, really windy, a lot of heavy clouds. And we knew the storm was coming because we've been listening to it on the radios. But so we just kind of curled up in the truck and crashed, went to sleep under the floodlight at the barn. And we maybe slept an hour and a half. Well, I woke up, I couldn't sleep. I mean, I was stiff as a board, my back hurt. It was just getting daylight, and it was raining like a son of a gun. And I waited. I was awake for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I woke her up, and I said, look, let's go back to camp. Let's go. You get in your tent, I'll get in mine. We'll, By that time, the wind had stopped. It was just raining. So we drove back over there. Everything was cool. She went in her tent, and she went to sleep, and I did too. We probably slept at about 10 a.m. or something. But, we'd been up all night. It was really, really cool. But then we didn't want to tell the lady whose house we were visiting because we didn't want her to be scared. She had sometimes gotten pretty unnerved and scared. So we didn't tell her about it for a couple of weeks. Long after we had both went home, we told her about it. But we didn't want her to be. She was kind of intimidated about things anyway. So
I would be.
But it was really cool. I mean, I would relive that right now, tonight, if I could.
Oh yes, that was an amazing story. Amazing.
Would you attempt to get something on camera if you had that opportunity?
Well, yeah, and that's, I had taken it down, my thermal imager, because of the storm.
Torn down that night. Yeah.
But since then, now I have this booger buggy that, I've made a waterproof housing that's real sturdy, and I leave it up in the rain now. I don't, it's watertight. But at the time, let's see what JB's writing up there. Agreed, JB. But at the time, I had it on a small tripod up through the roof of my tent. And, of course, in any kind of a wind, it was blowing back and forth and ready to tip over. So I took it all down and boxed it up and had it all in my truck. So I missed a phenomenal opportunity because I didn't have a waterproof housing and the sturdy.
But that's the way it always is.
I'm telling you,
like whenever you have the most incredible encounters, is when you have nothing to document it with.
Yeah. Well, that was the second really close encounter with Eddie the Yeti. I had a previous experience with him. And same piece of property, it was a different trip. Matter of fact, this trip that I'm referring to, that I was just talking about, was in March. The trip that I'm now going to tell you about was in November, the previous November. And I remember it was November 14th because it was my anniversary, and I was up there Bigfoot hunting instead of at home celebrating the anniversary with my wife. So that didn't go over too well. And as you know, I'm now divorced. But anyway.
Go around this, kind of goes hand in hand with this.
I mean, that was probably just one of many, But anyway. So I was up there camping with the two guys that I used to research with down in the Green Swamp. And I had made a couple trips up to Mississippi by myself. Then these two guys came up and joined me. We had 3 tents set up. And again, a beach canopy like that with our coolers and chairs all underneath of it. It was freezing cold that November night. So we all went to bed. We had done a couple of calls. We're, in the same field against the same tree line. Same piece of property. We had done a couple of calls. We heard all kinds of wood knocks, got some great recordings of wood knocks and some vocalizations. Then we went to bed, 11:30 or so. It was freezing cold. Got in my tent. I had the thermal imager turned on, plugged in, recording. I had it pointed at Mike's tent because he was closest to the trees, and I'm thinking, okay, well, if someone wants to sneak out of the woods and come investigate, he's the closest one to the woods. So I had it pointed at that, and I was all curled up in my sleeping bag, and I have the same tent that you can see in that picture. And it's pretty crowded with my cot in there and table and chair and all that stuff. So my cot is actually bulging the side of the tent out a little bit, just like you can kind of see in that picture. So there wasn't 10 or 15 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, after we all went to bed. We had our field radios on, our walkie-talkies, and we had set up a code, so we didn't talk. If we heard anything, just click the send button, and it makes static. You can go click, 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 and get someone's attention without actually talking and giving away that you're awake. So we're thinking, right? So Mike's in his tent. He's got this big boom microphone with a headset on, and he's listening through that. And off on my other side is Raymond. He's 20 yards away the other direction. And all of a sudden, I hear like 5 footsteps coming right towards me, and then it's standing. It literally standing next to my elbow, an inch separating my elbow, in this huge whatever just walked up and standing next to me. And I mean, I could tell from the sound between the footsteps. We're talking maybe a 5-foot stride. It was a grass piece. And I mean, you could hear it, and you could tell it was heavy, and it had very large strides. All of a sudden now it's standing directly next to me, an inch away, and I can hear it breathing over the center of my tent, like it's leaning over. And I think what it was doing, I had a little fold-up table in my tent next to my cot, next to my bed, and I had a small tabletop tripod, and on top of that I had rigged up a piece of PVC that went up through the roof of my tent. I had the thermal imager on top, outside the tent, and I had it wrapped in a plastic bag to keep the dew off of it. But it has a little back screen, an LCD back screen, about the same size as the screen on your cell phone, maybe. A little small, small flip phone screen, small screen, black and white. And I think it was looking at that. It was looking at the back of the screen, the little LCD viewer. So it walked up out of the woods, right up to my tent, stood next to me, leaned over the tent. I could hear it now breathing over the top of my tent. And I think that's what it was looking at. And my heart rate just, I'm telling you, man, my adrenaline kicked in.
You could hear it in your ears.
I could. I could hear it just pounding in my ears. My heart just was in my ears, And I'm just like, I don't want to move a muscle. I'm like, holy shit, what the heck? I didn't want to budge. I didn't want to move a muscle. And after a minute or so, it walked like 1-2 steps down the side of my tent, started walking across the other side of my tent towards our canopy, which is the direction where Raymond was. We had our coolers and stuff in there and chairs underneath. And I started clicking on the radio, and Mike, he didn't really hear, and he gets on his radio and says, what, did you say something? And I'm like, dang, shut up. I didn't say that. I'm just clicking on the radio, click, 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 trying to tell him, look, just listen. So he goes quiet. Raymond hears me clicking. All of a sudden he hears footsteps coming towards him. Then we hear, all three of us could hear things being moved around under our canopy. Not real loudly, but, like things just kind of being moved around, checked out, whatever. Then we could hear a tapping, a tapping. And we talked about it the next day, and we figured out, we think what it was is he was tapping on the metal tubular legs of that canopy. So we think he was just kind of investigating everything, picking some things up and tapping on it and stuff, just checking everything out. Now, trust me, I was totally freaked. I didn't even move. I could have turned my thermal imager and got some video, but I didn't want to move a muscle. He wasn't standing over me anymore, but I'm like, shit, I ain't moving. You're moving a sleeping bag or on a cot, you make noise and all this. And it's like, man, I didn't budge. So, but Raymond heard it coming over there, and he got nervous. He had his cooler sitting next to his cot, and on top of the cooler, he had a pistol. He reached over in the dark and grabbed his pistol, and it made a noise, sliding across the lid of his cooler. And he put it inside his sleeping bag and cocked it, because he's like, what the hell is this? It's big, and it's coming like right at him. So he loaded it. He cocked his pistol, and at that point, he'd left. It just disappeared. We don't know where it went. We didn't hear it leave, but it was just gone. So then we all talked on the radios for like 45 minutes, So, but that was my first real encounter with him. That was about the third trip I was up there.
What state would you say has the most adventurous Bigfoot? The one that would have to be Mississippi, wouldn't it?
It would be Mississippi, yes.
I agree with you there, because I've researched several times in Mississippi, and I found that they were a lot bolder They just seem to be afraid of people. I know they're all curious, but there doesn't seem to be the level of fear in the Mississippi Bigfoot.
It's almost like they own woods and they know it, and they've got the advantage. Yeah. They're not afraid to show themselves. They are definitely not. But you have to be aware of your surroundings. You can't just sit there and hide in your tent or, sit in your truck. You kind of got to get out in the element, out in their element. Put yourself kind of within their reach, and just be patient and sometimes nerves of steel. You really have to do that if you want to experience it.
Okay. All right. We have a lot of new people that are listening to our show now, a lot of new researchers that are just now getting out there and trying to learn more about the species. Do you have any advice to them, like how they can locate an area around where they're at, and what kind of things they could try to possibly get a Bigfoot to come up?
Yes. One thing I would probably not do, there's a certain TV show out there, everybody's doing it now, is try to imitate one of their calls. I would say definitely do not do that. I think it's a dead giveaway that, hey, you're a person. You're not going to imitate one of their calls enough to fool them. So what I would do, and it's worked for me numerous times now, is if you want to try any kind of vocalization, bring a female with you, your wife, your girlfriend, sister, whatever, next door neighbor. Have them do what I would call like a girl scream, just a real loud scream. Do not try to imitate one of those things. And then be quiet and see what happens. Because I brought a screamer with me, and had really good results.
You're a designated screamer.
And I know, I get y'all's mind out of gutters. I didn't have a voice that I could try to scream like that, so I brought a designated screamer a couple of times, and pretty well actually. They in Alabama, they will do almost a perfect mimic and scream it right back at you, but probably louder. But almost a perfect imitation. That's worked real good.
What other things besides the screaming? What if you can't find a screamer? How would you suggest that they find an area? What kind of area should they be looking for if they're wanting to set up a research area where they're at? What kind of things do they need to look for to find a good area where they might be?
Okay, wait. You want to find an area that's tough to get to, for one. But it needs to be near a good water source, preferably maybe two creeks or rivers that join together. That's key, water. It's also got to be good natural food, deer, hogs, rabbits, those type of things. You also you got to spend time out there, and you got to look for maybe tree bows or X formations. You got to listen for wood knocks, because you will hear them. But if you don't realize what they are, you're not paying attention, you'll miss them and not realize what you're hearing. I've taken a couple of guys out researching with me before, and we've heard wood knocks, and they're saying, "Really, that's what they do?" Because I've heard that before. I thought it was a woodpecker, or something. I was like, no, that's a wood knock. Where some people say they use a stick or a log and knock on a tree. Other people say they can make it with their mouth. I tend to think it's with a stick or a branch or a club type object against a tree. And I always carry a bat with me. And you don't want to go out there and start hammering on a tree like a lumberjack. You want to do one swift, solid knock and leave it alone. If you're out there hammering away, forget it.
Okay.
They're going to know it's some person probably, because they don't do that. They'll do one solid good knock. And maybe you'll hear a return knock of two, whack, whack. But that's it. You're not going to hear a bunch of hammering. So get that out of your mind, and then you just got to be patient. You got to try to think like they do and imitate them without giving it away that you're a person. Kids are, I'm telling you, little kids are great Bigfoot bait. Bring a toddler with you or young children. Let them play. Let them carry on like kids do. It will pique the Sasquatch's natural curiosity. And I think their kids are just like our kids. They're bumptious, obnoxious, loud. They don't listen. They'll yell and scream and holler and carry on, you know. And I think it piques their interest. And kids are great Bigfoot bait.
And I have one more question. And,
okay.
When and if you do have a sighting, this is for people out there, what would you suggest? What would be the best advice that you would give them if they should actually encounter some Sasquatch? What behavior should they have? How should they behave around that?
I would say a couple of things. First of all, don't act aggressive. Do not point a flashlight at them or pull a firearm out. They're not going to hurt you. Trust me.
Okay.
I've been
no
in position.
firearm, no flashlight. Okay.
Right. You know, if you want to see one, keep the flashlight in your truck. Your eyes will get adjusted to the dark. You'll be able to see quite well, trust me. So don't do anything aggressive. If you happen to see one, acknowledge that you see one and maybe wave at them or say hello. Now, I don't know if they can understand that or not, but I think they understand your intention versus, you know, throwing rocks or sticks or pointing a flashlight at them. I think their eyes are really, really sensitive at night. So you don't want to blind one. I think that would be a form of aggression because now they can't see and now they're defenseless, so to speak. So I think you want to try to interact and be friendly. Now, if you get growled at or screamed at in an aggressive way, it's time to go. Just, you know, acknowledge that and respect that and just go. Maybe come back another time. I really haven't had any aggressive encounters, and I kind of contributed to riding out the storm, so to speak, and getting past that nervous point and just riding it out. Try to be friendly, you know, just enjoy the experience for what it is and try to interact in a friendly way without, I wouldn't walk right up to one. I'd give them its space. I'll sit there, I'll stand there, I'll wave at them, maybe talk to them, but I'm not going to get in your face and I'm not going to put a flashlight on them. And it seems to have worked for me. Now, maybe it was just luck. Maybe there was a lot of other circumstances that worked in my favor. I don't know. But I've had some pretty cool experiences. And I've been able to bring other people to some of these locations, and they've been able to enjoy some of these experiences with me. It seems to kind of work. You know, you're not going to chase one down. You're not going to run across the forest and catch one. So give up on all that. Sit back, be a camper, be relaxed, let them come to you. Try to make yourself interesting but non-threatening.
Very good advice. Pat, we thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. It has been a wonderful show. I never get tired of hearing your stories. And I really admire you because you're truly a wonderful researcher. And I hope that someone has learned something from this show tonight. So, everyone, we are going to call it a night. Want to wish everyone out there a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh.
Okay, guys? All right, I told you.
Well, thanks for having me, y'all. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yes. Thank you, Pat, so much. Really appreciate it.
Don't be a stranger, Pat.
Yeah.
You can count on it.
Good. All right. All right. Have a very Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year.
See you on the other side of it.
All right.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Good night, everyone. And we'll see you next year on New Year's Day, our next show. Y'all have a safe and wonderful and a blessed Christmas.
Ain't nothing like Christmas, baby. Don't come but once a year. Ain't nothing like Christmas, baby. With carols and good cheer. Ain't nothing like Christmas, baby. Let's meet around the tree. I'll bring the nog, you put on the log. It's a Christmas party. Oh, with tinsel in our hair and presents everywhere. Families in the kitchen watching it snow. Yeah. There's a party we gotta throw, telling everyone we know. Oh, baby, it's that special time of year. Ain't nothing like Christmas, baby. Don't come but once a year. Ain't nothing like Christmas, baby. With carols and good cheer. Ain't nothing like Christmas, baby. Let's meet around the tree. I'll bring the nog, you put on the log. It's a Christmas party.